If you don't believe you're worth anything, obviously your confidence is there. If you don't believe you're able to go do anything, obviously your confidence is there. Psychologists often call this self-efficacy, right? You just don't feel like you can, be efficacious or be a person who gets things done in the world because you don't believe in your ability. And last, confidence has a lot to do with your perception of where you'll be in the future. If you think you're gonna be broke and a loser in the future, obviously you're not gonna go for it today.
We need to eliminate the negative self-talk, and an environment that's easy to get stuck in sometimes can be the negative self-talk. And there's so much negativity in the world, and if you don't actively work to shift your focus, to shift your thoughts and your mind, that negativity will consume you. And that's where the law of attraction comes in. Now, for me, it's about focusing less on what I don't want to happen in the future and actually focus on what I do want. And again, I think a lot of people focus on what they don't want too much. And you start to attract the things you're thinking about. I don't want this, I don't want that. Those things start to come to you. You start to see them.
Where your focus goes, your energy flows. And so if you're focusing on the negative, guess what's going to happen? Your energy is going to go to the negative, and everything is going to be negative because that's where your focus is. That's where your energy is flowing. Listen to me. If you think about that thing, you concentrate on winning. You concentrate on dominating. Listen to me. Whatever you focus on, when your focus goes, your energy flows. And so we going to think about what we're thinking about. You hear me? We're going to think about what we're thinking about. And when we think about those things which are pure, listen to me, come on. That stuff that's true, right? Whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things of a good report. Are you hearing me? Meditate on this stuff. Focus on this stuff. It don't mean negative things won't happen, but we're not focusing on it. Are you hearing me? It don't mean that negative things won't transpire, that as you go through the day, something bad won't happen, but we're not going to meditate on it. We're going to focus on what's positive. We're going to focus on what's good, right? And when we focus on that, that's where our energy is going to go. And what's going to happen is the outcomes are going to reflect our thinking.
Instead of focusing on what's wrong with you, start focusing on what's right with you. You may have weaknesses. You've made mistakes. We all have. But there's a lot more right with you than there is wrong with you. Dwelling on the negative doesn't help you to do better. Beating yourself up for past mistakes doesn't move you forward. The better you feel about yourself, the better you'll do. The more you like yourself, the further you'll go. You can't give away what you don't have. If you're in turmoil on the inside, mad at yourself, critical, condemned, that's what you have to give. If you're hard on yourself, you'll be hard on others. If you don't forgive yourself, you won't forgive others. If you don't get along with you, how can you get along with your family? The best thing you can do is start being for you. When you love yourself, then you can love others. When you're kind to yourself, then you can be kind to others. It starts with you. Well, Joel, I have all these faults, these weaknesses. Once I overcome, once I learn to control my temper, be more disciplined, quit saying things that I shouldn't, then I won't be down on myself. If you're waiting to perform perfectly before you feel good about who you are, you'll be waiting your whole life. You have to accept yourself while you're in the process of changing.
Our mind is the control tower of our life. Whatever happens in our life starts right here. All of our decisions are there. And the truth is, whatever we are today is the result of what we've been thinking about all those years. The Bible says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So if you don't like what's going on around you, maybe you should ask yourself the question, what am I thinking about? What do I think about myself? What do I think about other people? Because what we think about is really what controls us. For example, our relationship to God, our relationship to each other, our sense of direction in life, whatever we accomplish, our failures in life, all of that is a result of the way we think. And oftentimes we forget that this is the control tower, that everything else is a result of how we think, controlling our thoughts, because this controls everything. And that's where our thoughts are from. How do I control this control tower of my life? One of the ways you overcome whatever that sin is in your life or whatever's going on, one of the ways you overcome this thinking is by asking yourself some very impacting questions. Not just questions, but questions that'll make a difference in your life. And I would just encourage you to write these down. You ask yourself these questions about whatever you're thinking. And the first question you ask is this: where will these thoughts lead me? Where will these thoughts lead me? If I keep thinking the same thing, well, it's going to lead you somewhere. Very important question. If I keep thinking this, where's it going to lead me? Another question is, will these thoughts get me where I want to go? And you have to decide, where do I want to go? Where do I want to go in life? Will what I'm thinking get me where I want to go? And if you say, I'm just not important, I'm a nobody, I don't have any gifts and talents and skills in life, give yourself a lot of excuses, you won't get anywhere. So you have to ask yourself the question, if I keep thinking this, where will this get me in life? Then ask yourself the question, are these thoughts scripturally acceptable? In other words, let's say, for example, you're sitting in front of the TV and something comes along, you know it's not right. And the world is full of pornography. And pornography is the world's photography. They have diluted the truth, and they put all kind of stuff out there for people to watch. And you ask yourself the question, are these thoughts scripturally acceptable? And here's somebody committing some sexual act on television or whatever you may watch. Are these things acceptable scripturally? No, they're not. Then you shut it down, cut it off. In other words, you don't watch. You do not have to watch what you know is not right. You can shut it down. Somebody says, but I'm so weak. You're weak because you're talking about being weak. You don't have to be weak. You have the Spirit of God within you who will enable you to do whatever is necessary to overcome whatever is there. So what we're doing is giving these questions and saying, let's look at reality. What's reality? Reality is, where will these thoughts lead me? I have to answer that question. Will these thoughts get me where I want to go? I need to answer that question. Are these thoughts scripturally acceptable? I can answer that. Will these thoughts build me up or tear me down? And they're going to do one of the two. They're not neutral. Our thoughts are going to build us up or tear us down. When you sit through this message, these thoughts ought to build you up, not tear you down. When you look and listen to stuff that you know is not right, ungodly, unscriptural, sensual, whatever it might be, you know the real truth is they're going to tear you down spiritually. So you have to decide whether you're going to watch, look, or listen to your friends or whatever they're saying, because they're going to have some impact in your life. And then, could I share these thoughts with someone else? Whatever you're thinking, could you share it with somebody else? Or is that one of those thoughts that, no, you couldn't? And then, where did these thoughts originate? And some thoughts did not originate with the Word of God. They did not originate in heaven. They did not originate in godly living. They did not originate in anything that's holy. And they did not originate in anything that is good for you. So, when you analyze the thoughts, where did this come from? Why am I thinking this? What's the source of this? What is this going to do in my life? Watch this. All of those questions, you have the right and the power to answer for your life. Nobody else can answer them for your life. You have the power to answer them for your life. And we're just talking about how you think about yourself and the power of your thoughts. And you just think just these questions alone. And then the question is, do I feel guilty thinking these thoughts? Well, you know the answer to those things. You know, for example, if you thought about taking something that didn't belong to you, how would you think about it? You should feel guilty. If you don't feel guilty, you have a major problem. Then you need to think a little deeper. Have I ever been saved? What's going on in my life? So we said your thought life is in your mind. This is the control tower of your life. And because it is, we make the decisions and we suffer the consequences, or we glean the blessing of making right decisions in life. Whether it's about money, or whether it's about marriage, or whether it's about sex, or friendship, relationship. Here's where it all starts. And this is going to control your life. And the truth is, all of us up to this point in our life, where we are is a result of how we've been thinking all these years.
So this is, I think, why people are so obsessed in some sense with the search for fundamental meaning. It's because you want to be able to associate. So imagine, this is a good story. So you can imagine two people laying bricks. They're building a gigantic wall, and the one person thinks, oh my God, you know, this wall is going to take 100,000 bricks, and I'm laying one at a time, and I'm wasting my life away, trivially adding to this gigantic brick wall. And what am I doing? This is absolutely miserable, brick by brick. And the other person thinks, in 300 years, this is going to be a cathedral. And so the person in the second state is doing exactly the same thing at a local level, laying bricks, but each brick is related to a very high goal. And that means the reward that's attendant upon the laying of the brick is proportional to the goal, to the aim of the entire behavioral process. And so it seems to me, so if you're aimless and goalless, and I know you've done some work on goal setting, if you're aimless and goalless, then you can't elicit any positive emotion. And if your goals are fragmented, which is also what happens if you're aimless or your goals lack unity, if your goals are fragmented, then no given behavioral manifestation can elicit any dopaminergic reward because it's not a step forward to anything desirable. And so there's no positive emotion. And so you can't learn. Well, according to your account, I didn't know that. See, I didn't know that when you put yourself in a state of apprehension in relationship to a valued goal, that your neuroplasticity improves and you can learn better. That's very, very cool. So, because I just developed this app for writing called Essay. And one of the things we do, we tell people that when they sit down to write an essay, that's the most important thing you have to do is you have to have a question in mind that you regard finding the answer to as worthwhile. Otherwise, the whole exercise is a lie. So even if you're assigned a topic, you have to find something within the topic that grips you and provides you with the motivation that's appropriate to move forward with the essay, with the attempt. And it is a lie otherwise. You're wasting your words. You're engaging in futile activity. And you're going to write something dull and terrible, and it's going to frustrate you and bore you while you're doing it. And that's because your own nervous system is telling you that you're participating in something that you have no belief in. And so, but if you're gripped by the questions, like, God, I really want to answer this question, it's like, well, you're in a perfect condition to begin to write an intelligible essay because you actually want the answer. And then the writing exercise is going to be gripping because you're grappling with a real mystery. And that's so cool. If doing that also puts you in a state where you're much more likely to learn, which makes sense, right? Because if you're doing something important and you seem to be moving forward, that's a really good time to learn.